see us do. This is actually a subdivision and a couple of duplex builds. So I'm going to take you for a bit of a walk through, see what we're up to, and explain what's happening. But as you can see, another lovely sunny day here in Queensland, which is good. We've had a lot of wet weather, and it has made any sort of civil works really, really difficult. So have all that weather past us and have this beautiful sunshine. It's good. Good to see some action. So anyway, guys, this is a 1-into-3 lot subdivision, retaining the existing house to sell and then creating 2 more blocks behind it and then building a duplex on each block. So essentially taking it from 1 dwelling to 5 dwellings, but it's being staged in a way so that the client can sell parts of it off and obviously reduce his risk and help with cash flow. So the client actually bought us this site and he's engaged us to help him execute the subdivision. We've helped him get all his plans, his approvals, basically execute everything around the subdivision that's required, and then obviously engage civil contractor and get this to a point where we can obtain titles. They can sell the existing house off, and then we can go and build these 2 duplexes. So I'll flip you guys around, give you a bit of an idea of what's going on. So this is the street here. It's a fairly quiet street. We've got all sports grounds and everything just over the road here. This is the site just here behind me. So you've got an excavator and everything here. This whole section out the front here is all being upgraded. We're having to put in curb and channel just up past the neighbour's driveway there. And obviously, this is obviously all going to be, the crossover is going to be upgraded. And we also have to run stormwater pipe down there. And there is a stormwater pit down there that we need to connect into. So down here we have a separate crossover just on this side of that crossover there that we're installing, going in here, and that is going to service this house here. So this house will have its own separate driveway access. It'll be completely fenced off and it'll be on its own block of land. And once all these civil works are done and we can obtain titles, then we'll be selling that house off. So you can see here, we'll walk into the site, give you guys a bit of an idea. You can see we've got some stormwater work and everything happening. All our sewer and everything is all already in. They've just boxed out for our driveway. We're just a bit of a wait at the moment on our underground detention tanks for stormwater. So we have one going in just over here to service this main house. It's 3,000 kilolitre. We have another underground tank going in just sort of here to service the first block here, and then there's another one going in further up the hill just to service the other block there. So just a bit of a wait on those at the moment. So the boys are waiting for them to arrive. They'll install those, then they can finish off all the stormwater work. Got to run our water lead-ins and electrical and NBN up here to service these 2 blocks as well. But this is obviously the existing house here, you can see. Then we have 1 block down here where you can see the pad foot roller is. So we have a duplex being built here. And then there is a 3rd block you can see just where it steps up. And then there's another duplex going in there. So basically the cars come in, they drive in, park in the garage and then reverse out and then exit down the driveway in a forward motion. So good little project. Like I said, the client brought this one to us. And yeah, just needed some assistance with the execution of this subdivision, getting all the approval, doing all that sort of stuff, which we've been able to help. But the reason that we've, like, a lot of people would probably look at this site and go, oh yeah, knock the house down, let's just build some townhouses. There's nothing wrong with that. I would just say it's probably the easier option. However, I don't see the value in knocking down a completely good house that just needs a bit of a tidy up and a bit of a renovation, and then selling that. You can sell that GST free. It's an existing house. It's not deemed, providing the renovation isn't too extreme, it's not deemed as a new build. So there's no GST payable on the sale of that. So you pick up 10% straight away. If you knock that down, you then need to, let's say we got, just an example, 2 more townhouses where this house is going. You're demolishing something. So they paid, I can't even remember now, was it maybe 950K or something for this whole site? they're going to be selling that house for, I would say, probably close to 900K. So you're knocking down a completely good asset that you can get really good returns from without having to spend too much money on it. So wherever possible, I think it's really important to look at the option of, hey, do we need to knock this house down, or can it actually stay where it is? And can we develop behind it? And in this instance, it can obviously stay where it is, which is great. And they're just going to give it a cosmetic reno, put it back on the market once we have plan sealing and everything for this subdivision, and sell it off. And they will reduce their debt significantly on this project. So being able to do that, they're able to spend a few $100,000 on this whole subdivision, and then be able to sell that for circa 900K and really pay down a lot of their debt. So when I say a few $100,000, it's actually more than a few $100,000. We're talking more like, once we account for infrastructure charges and everything like that, closer to 400 to 500K. I'd have to have another look at that quote. But spend that money, spend the 400 to 500K, rather than spending, you spend $1 million knocking that house down and building two more townhouses. The numbers make more financial sense to actually keep it, and it's also less risk involved in actually keeping it, less outlay for the client. So that's what we're doing there. So that house will get sold off, and then obviously, we've got there's 2 more blocks here. We're going to be building those duplexes, and the clients are going to be holding those duplexes. They're wanting to build a portfolio and hold, real estate long term, which I'm always a big advocate of. And they'll ride the wave of growth. Obviously, get the cash flow from the duplexes. They're able to get 2 incomes from each one of those, and yield a lot better than just a standard property. So, really good outcome for them. It's got these tanks to arrive, and this thing will be back moving again, which is awesome. So, guys, if you do have a site in Southeast Queensland that you are sitting on, and you're really not sure what to do with it, we're more than happy to take a look and see if we can figure out. It's not always the highest use. We could have got a higher use out of this site if we had have done townhouses. So I wouldn't say we always go for the highest use, but the best use for your circumstances, and the best use for your budget and what you're capable of doing. So sometimes people always talk about the highest and best use, but it's not always the best thing. So the highest use for someone might be going, a big apartment complex, whereas for someone else it might be just a small lot subdivision like this. And if they wanted to, they could sell these blocks of land off and make a nice, pretty profit. But in this instance, they're obviously keeping the duplexes. So more than one way that we can skin a cat. And I think just thinking outside the box, guys, and not just doing just what people, the easy route, right? The easy route, like I said, is townhouses, and that's what the direction that most people would go. Just thinking outside the box. And is there another way that we can skin this cat that's less risky and still getting a similar outcome? And I actually think that duplexes will value higher than townhouses, because no body corporate associated with the duplexes. For something like that, it's generally just sharing the insurance. Whereas, if we build 6 townhouses on this site, and you've got a body corporate, and valuers see that, and that lowers the value of the property. So body corporates, pain in the ass sometimes. But anyway, if you can avoid them, I always like to avoid them. So if wherever possible. So I can see a couple of questions there from Alex. A lot of land. Yeah, this is it 1,300 or 1,400 square meters, just to give you an idea. We're in medium density zoning. So on the Sunshine Coast, medium density zoning. So it allows us to go to small lot subdivisions and create smaller blocks of land, and then obviously combine that with duplex builds. So allows us to do that. And plumbing, so Unity Water's already been in, mate. They've installed, I usually get, for a small site like this, I usually get Unity Water in to do the connections and stuff. If it was a lot larger, I would get a private contractor to do it. But in this instance, Unity Water in. They've already done the sewer connection, so we've now got a new sewer main. They've installed a new sewer main all up this driveway, and there's 2 new blocks will connect into that. and then I'm just waiting for this civil contractor to get in a little bit further down the line, and then I'll get Unity Water in to install all the water meters. So we're going to have 5 water meters installed here. So one for the existing house, and then obviously one for each of these new dwellings going in. And the civil contractor will install the water lead-ins up this driveway, and just connect onto the water meters that Unity Water are installing. So yeah, the plumbing. Then we've also got our stormwater. I spoke about our stormwater before. We've got our tanks. Had to go underground tanks on this one. Sunshine Coast Council are sort of pushing underground tanks a lot at the moment, and you know, for something like this with the duplexes, I feel like we can get the same result with above ground tanks. But yeah, council don't agree. They want us to spend more money. People wonder why housing is so expensive. You're looking at, just to give you guys an example on that, you're looking at, if we added a 3,000 kilolitre tank for each dwelling on there, above ground, just incorporate that with the build, it'll cost you an extra, whatever, $1,500 per tank, versus, an underground tank each is at least 10, to supply and install. We're looking at least 10 grand per tank, at least. And then obviously the weight, we're waiting for the tanks to be made up. They're a bit of a custom configuration, so we need to get them made up. So it is what it is, but the government's trying to figure out why housing's so unaffordable, and it's major player in that is local council, making it so difficult and so expensive to actually create housing and create blocks of land. So it's like the left hand's not talking to the right hand, which happens in government all the time, I guess. But yeah, on that note, guys, I'm going to keep moving. Enjoy the rest of your day. Like I said, if you've got a site like this that you're not sure what to do with, reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to have a look at it, see if we can figure out a cost-effective and never risk-free, but try and minimise your risk through the development, and allow you to probably sell off a bit through the development like these guys are able to, and pay down some debt along the way. So I'll keep moving, guys. Enjoy your day. We'll chat soon.